Hi everybody, I'm Pastor Donovan Law, and I'm here to supplement your week 7 reading. And I just want to encourage you, maybe you're a little bit behind, this is week 7, and maybe you're behind a week or you haven't quite stayed on track. I just want to encourage you, just take some time and catch up on your reading, give yourself a little extra. Don't give up, just open the book every day. We all get discouraged, but the thing is, we just have to pick up and do our best. So I just want to encourage you, and I'm going to take a reading actually from your week 7 reading. So you may actually want to read week 7 and maybe go back and read some of the things that you've missed before. But today I want to focus in on some passages in Exodus, starting with chapters 35 through 39. And when you look at the Old Testament, a lot of times the Old Testament has a flow and a story to it with a meaning behind it. And it reminds us sometimes of our own stories and some of the issues in our own lives. So, we kind of have to pay attention to the story. But in Exodus chapters 35 through 39, there is an offering that's given by the people of Israel. Now, obviously, they had lots of wealth coming out of Israel, but who do you give your wealth to if you're a nomadic people wandering around in the desert? You have lots of treasures. Do you give it to each other? Do you just exchange it? No. Actually coming out, God begins to give the children of Israel instructions for their lives and for their society and for laws and how things are going to operate. And one of the large things that happens is God gives Moses instructions for the house of worship, for the place where God is going to come and meet the people and where His presence is going to dwell. And in chapters 35 through 39, you begin to see these instructions to the very minute, fine detail about how the tabernacle and how the place where God's presence is going to dwell. And ultimately, we know now, thousands and thousands, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years later, we understand that this tabernacle is going to be a type and a symbol of things to come in the New Testament. So this is a huge undertaking. And so there comes an offering of the only thing that many of these Israelites can give, and that's their labor and their talents and their time and their abilities to do things. And so Moses begins to find people and their talents and how those talents can be used for their society and for what God wants and the instructions God has given. And he begins to conscript them to build the temple one little piece at a time. And as you read through that, it may feel monotonous, but remember that this is a statement of how God can use our talents for our local congregations, for our house of worship, and to prepare for a habitation of the Lord, to prepare for God to come and visit us, not just on Sunday, but for all time. And so as you read through chapters 35 through 39, you'll see that. I'm going to read a small portion in chapter 39, verses 42 and 43. Now, this is kind of at the end. It says, according to all that the Lord had commanded Moses, so the people of Israel had done all the work. And Moses saw all the work, and behold, they had done it, as the Lord had commanded. So had they done it. And then Moses blessed them. That's Exodus chapter 39, verses 42 and 43 in the English Standard Version. And as you read on, when you get to chapter 40, you will see God's response to all of that hard work. And the Lord actually speaks to Moses. And I think you'll find that when you start giving your time and your talent to God and you start giving that kind of offering, God's going to begin to speak in ways either through you, through our leaders, and He's going to begin to show us things. And by the time you get to the end of chapter 40, and Moses finished the work, and they build and they construct this tabernacle, actually put everything together and put everything in its proper place. It says a cloud covered the tabernacle and the glory of the Lord filled it. And so we can kind of remember, the Old Testament is filled with stories and some things that appear to be very monotonous information. But remember, there's always a story behind it. If you really, really want to see God's presence and glory come not only in your own life but in our church, begin to find small ways to use your talents to glorify God in our congregation, to glorify God in your community, in your work. Everything that you do, begin to offer that to the Lord, and you'll begin to see some great things happen.